The Minnesota Twins are spiraling. Byron Buxton has waived his no-trade clause, and the Toronto Blue Jays are officially circling like sharks in the water. We are barely out of the gates of this 2026 season. The sting of last year's World Series run is still fresh in our minds, and the front office is already looking at a blockbuster, a $100 million roster earthquake. Zachary D. Reimer of Bleacher Report just dropped a massive report linking the Blue Jays directly to Byron Buxton as a potential replacement or upgrade for Daulton Varsho. This is not a drill, Blue Jays Nation. This is the exact type of aggressive, win-now maneuver that defines a championship front office, and it completely alters the landscape of the AL East battle. Let's immediately take the pulse of the city, because the Toronto sports media landscape is absolutely fracturing over this news. If you tune into Sportsnet or TSN right now, the phone lines are melting down. Half of the fan base is screaming from the rooftops to make this deal yesterday, looking at Buxton's MVP caliber ceiling. The other half is suffering from severe PTSD, remembering every high-profile, injury-prone veteran this franchise has ever acquired. Twitter and X are a toxic wasteland of conflicting trade machines. Fans are terrified of giving up the farm for a guy whose medical chart reads like a Stephen King novel. But the reality of the AL East is that you cannot survive with a black hole in your lineup. The New York Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles are not waiting for Daulton Varsho to find his swing. The media knows it, the fans know it, and Ross Atkins absolutely knows it. Looking at the roster moves today and the potential domino effect of this trade, we have to dive deep into the analytics and the harsh reality of Daulton Varsho's situation. Toronto made a monumental, franchise-altering move to acquire Varsho from the Arizona Diamondbacks back in 2022. We gave up Gabriel Moreno, a move that still keeps some fans awake at night. Varsho has been a defensive godsend. He is a Gold Glove winner. His outs above average, OAA, and defensive runs saved, DRS, are consistently elite. But this is the final year of his contract, and his start to the 2026 campaign has been brutally slow. We are talking about a WRC plus that is hovering in unacceptable territory for a team with World Series aspirations. You can save all the runs you want in the outfield, but if you are striking out with runners in scoring position and leaving Vladdy Jr. stranded, your value plummets. Now, contrast that with Byron Buxton. When you look at Buxton's numbers on a per 162 game basis since 2021, it is jaw-dropping. We are talking about 6.3 RWAR, 35 home runs, 19 stolen bases, and a 134 OPS+. That is a superstar. That is a guy who hits the ball with exit velocities that break StatCast. He possesses a rare combination of elite sprint speed and raw, unadulterated pull-side power. If you drop a healthy Byron Buxton into the middle of this Blue Jays lineup, the entire dynamic shifts. Opposing managers can no longer pitch around our core. The protection he offers is immeasurable. But we have to talk about the elephant in the room: the injuries. Buxton's injury history doesn't just require elaboration, it requires a dedicated medical team. He is a Ferrari that spends most of its life in the garage. This is what is keeping his trade market from absolutely exploding, and why the Blue Jays even have a seat at the table. However, let's look at the financial chess match. Buxton has 2 years left after this season on his 7-year, $100 million deal. That breaks down to just $15.1 million per season. In the modern MLB economy, where slightly above average outfielders are getting $20 to $25 million in free agency, $15.1 million for a player with Buxton's ceiling is an absolute steal. It is a highly tradable contract, and it gives the Blue Jays financial flexibility to address the bullpen or the rotation at the trade deadline. This brings us to the strategic outlook and how manager John Schneider actually deploys these pieces on the turf at the Rogers Center. If the Blue Jays execute this trade, it does not automatically mean Daulton Varsho is packing his bags. There is a highly strategic, incredibly lethal scenario where Toronto keeps Varsho and adds Buxton. How? By moving Buxton to a corner outfield spot. Center field at the Rogers Center is a grueling, unforgiving assignment. The artificial turf, even the newer iterations, takes a toll on the knees and lower back. If you want to keep Byron Buxton healthy for a postseason push, you do not run him out in center field for 150 games. You put him in left or right field. You let Varsho continue to roam center and win his Gold Gloves. Suddenly, you have an outfield defense that is completely impenetrable. Furthermore, look at George Springer. Springer is in the final year of his deal. He is a legend, a tone setter, but his body is aging. Acquiring Buxton right now gives the Blue Jays an immediate, in-house replacement for Springer. You can rotate Springer, Buxton, and Varsho through the outfield and the designated hitter spot, keeping everyone's legs fresh for October. It is a masterclass in load management if they can pull it off. But to get a player of Buxton's caliber, even with the injury risk, you have to pay the iron price. The Minnesota Twins are off to a disastrous 1-3 start. They crashed out at the end of 2025. They are looking to retool, and they are going to want premium prospect capital. We just went through the brutal reality of spring training cuts, and we know exactly who is sitting down with the Buffalo Bisons waiting for a call. The Twins are going to be scouting our AAA roster heavily. They will want high-velocity arms. They will want our top infield prospects. This is where the prospect watch becomes critical. Are you willing to part with a potential top-of-the-rotation starter for a guy who might only play 80 games? The front office has to weigh the immediate impact against the future of the franchise. Sending top-tier talent to Minnesota is a massive gamble. If Buxton gets hurt in May and the prospect we trade goes on to become an all-star for the Twins, Ross Atkins will never hear the end of it. But again, flags fly forever. When you are in a championship window, you sometimes have to mortgage the future to win today. Let's bring this down to the human element, because these are not just numbers on a spreadsheet. Every Jays fan knows that the clubhouse chemistry is a delicate ecosystem. Daulton Varsho recently spoke about his uncertain future, and his words carry a lot of weight. He said, "It's been a blessing for me to be here. I've learned a lot about myself. It's an honor to put on this jersey because you're playing for a full country. That is not just PR speak. Playing in Toronto is different. You carry the weight of 40 million people. You are the only MLB team in the nation." Varsho understands that pressure, and he has embraced it. He wants to stay. His family loves the city. He is a grinder, a guy who leaves everything on the field, and his teammates respect the hell out of him for it. Trading him away, or bringing in a massive personality like Buxton to potentially take his job, could ruffle feathers in that clubhouse. You have to manage the human beings, not just the statistics. But Varsho also acknowledged the cold, hard truth. Obviously it's a business, so you take it with a grain of salt and go enjoy it. Have fun, be the best player I can be, and help my teammates. That is the mindset of a professional. If the Blue Jays do make this move, the pressure on Byron Buxton will be astronomical. He will be stepping into a pressure cooker. The Toronto media will dissect his every swing, his every sprint down the first base line, and every slight grimace he makes. If he tweaks a hamstring in his first week, the city will riot. But if he comes in, stays healthy, and starts launching 450-foot bombs into the flight deck, he will become an instant Canadian icon. We also have to consider the broader implications for the American League. The Atlanta Braves and the Detroit Tigers are also listed as potential landing spots for Buxton. If the Blue Jays hesitate, if they try to nickel and dime the Twins, Dave Dombrowski or Alex Anthopoulos will swoop in and steal him. We cannot allow a team like Detroit, who we might face in the playoffs, to acquire a weapon of mass destruction like Buxton. Sometimes the best trades are the ones you make to keep a player away from your enemies. This front office has shown a willingness to be bold. The Varsho trade itself was bold. The Berrios extension was bold. Signing Kevin Gausman was bold. They are not afraid of the big stage. And right now, the stage does not get any bigger. The window is open, but it is starting to close. Vladdy's contract situation is always looming. Bo Bichette's future is a constant talking point. You have a core right now that knows how to win, that has tasted the World Series, and is hungry for the ring. You cannot waste this rotation. You cannot waste this bullpen. So we look at the board. We look at the $15.1 million AAV. We look at the 35 home run potential. We look at the elite sprint speed. We look at the AL East standings, where every single game is a dogfight. We look at Daulton Varsho's expiring contract and his struggles at the plate. It is time for the verdict. Should the Toronto Blue Jays execute a blockbuster trade for Byron Buxton? Yes. You make the call and you don't blink. In this league, fortune favors the bold. You cannot win a World Series by playing it safe and hoarding prospects in Buffalo. You win by acquiring game-changing superstar talent. Byron Buxton, when healthy, is a top 10 player in Major League Baseball. His contract is an absolute bargain for the production he provides. Yes, the injury risk is terrifying. Yes, it might cost us a top prospect. But the upside is a parade down Yonge Street. You bring Buxton in, you move him to a corner outfield spot to protect his body. You keep Varsho in center field to maintain elite defense, and you build a lineup that will give opposing pitchers nightmares. Ross Atkins needs to get the Minnesota Twins on the phone right now and finalize this deal before someone else does. I want to hear from every single one of you in the comments right now. Drop a "Go Jays" if you want the front office to pull the trigger and bring Byron Buxton to Toronto. Or tell me if you think the injury history is just too toxic to touch. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for daily, relentless Blue Jays coverage, and keep it locked right here as we track every single rumor, transaction, and heartbeat of this postseason push. See you tomorrow.